many travelers, when they travel, when they go explore a new country, in several occasions they rent the bike. So you get to the airport with your bag, with your stuff, you go to the rental place and there's your bike. So you jump on the bike and of course you're not really familiar, but there should be some steps, some things that you do before you even start riding. What you normally look at, like you see the bike, okay, I know this is what I want to make personal for me. I want to fine tune, I don't know, the shift pedal or the brake, anything that somebody, I mean, you assume people are experienced, but maybe there are, again, some extra tips that somebody with your experience can give to people to make themselves more comfortable and familiar with a brand new bike they just saw the first time.
Yeah, I think basics are having the controls where you can, where you're used to it. Mm-hmm. So the brake is something that to me is very important. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just jump on a bike and the rear brake is super low.
Yeah.
And usually the brake is lower on street bikes because you're usually on a position where
you're sitting, so you kind of lean forward and your foot is going to go down.
Yeah, and depending how much off-road or on-road the bike style is, if you jump on a MotoGP, of course the brake is going to go lower. Mm-hmm. Because you're way forward, you know.
Yeah.
But when you jump into off-road bike, you're usually up straight. So then I usually take I take my brake a little bit higher. So I'm always thinking, for me, the braking is always standing up. So I'm standing up when I brake. Mm-hmm. So if you're sitting down, you can go lower on the brake. But if you're standing up, you need to have your brake pad a little bit higher.
Otherwise, the gap's going to be too much. And you have to.
You won't find it. And then of course clutch and brakes, I usually find the right spot that's more of a feeling.
Yeah, but personal touch. Very important. Always remember, when you transition from the street to the dirt, the rear brake is very important. Use it, because a lot of people, they get confident, they get comfortable, and they only use the front brake on the road, and then when they get off-road, the front brake, you need it, but it's really easy to wash the front end if you just apply too much force. You need the rear brake to keep the bike tracking, to keep the bike straight, and that's why you want to have the pedal in the right position.
And also, that's a question that I always get on schools and riding clinics that I do. The braking is always 50-50. I mean, at the end, mm-hmm. the rear brake or the front brake won't work 100% by themselves. Always find the 50-50. And that's something that you have to learn when you go on the off-road, because on the road, again, bikes today, they have so much technology. They're so much better than they used to be, mm-hmm. that today you just click with one finger, any other brake, and the bike brakes, Off-road is a different story, and that's where you need to really have that feeling.
Yeah, it's more of a balance, so nothing extreme, trying to be in the best position all the time, be smooth, and eventually you're going to get comfortable, you're going to be faster, you're going to enjoy more what you're doing. One last thing, very important, tire pressure. So it depends on what tires you're putting on, but of course, assuming that you're riding adventure, it's going to be a 50-50 tire, so with maybe some big knobs, but that's about it. What would you do?
I usually try to go on mid to hard tire pressure, just because at the end I usually ride on the off-road, and I'm thinking, if I go too much pressure,
mm-hmm. it's gonna bounce around
and the sand gets harder. Usually big trail bikes, they have knobbies, but it's still heavy bike, so a little bit less pressure is going to give you more traction. But if you hit something, you might have the problem of pinching, flat tire, So I usually go a little bit more in between half and a little bit more stiffer than regular. Okay. If I'm going to go on the freeway, mm-hmm. I stiffen it up a little bit, and I just go a little bit more pressure.
You mentioned sand. That's the big, a lot of people are really not used to, depending on where you live, of course, and where you normally ride, but sand is usually something that, oh my God, sand is going to be hard, especially with a big heavy bike. One tip, look forward, stand up, stand down. What you do, keep your feet up, keep your feet down.
Sand mud, going across rivers,
Yes.
or going into that you usually do when you travel big trail bikes, dry rivers, rocks. Any of those at the end, they have the same technical strategy.
Okay.
If you go into a sand, you can probably get at some point stuck, but if you keep going with the motor, if you go wide open and too much power, your traction is not going to be enough, so it's going to spin and
And you
sink.
lose momentum. Yeah.
So you go into a medium to low rev, so the tire's spinning and you're moving, but you're not
digging a hole.
You're
You
not
keep
digging a hole.
momentum.
You keep momentum, and you need to keep going forward. If you look up to the ground, you begin to do this.
Okay.
If you
So
look up,
look way ahead.
you just go and forget about your front wheel. Look at where you're going. Look at where you're finding the right lines, the better traction. At the end, these bikes, the best traction is right there as soon as you let go of the clutch. Lower rev, that's the best traction for big trail bikes.
Okay.
But in order to keep that, you definitely need to have a little bit of confidence,
Yeah.
because as soon as you let go, it's going to shut off.
Okay.
So I will say keep your view up, confidence, and try to not brake, try to not let go. As soon as you let go or begin to,
Gonna sink or
yeah.
jerk the gas, then it's gonna lose stability and you lose momentum and you lose traction.
the mud is the same thing. Confidence.
Okay. Well, hopefully this was interesting and useful for you. Remember about this when next time you jump on your adventure bike. Thank you, Jeremias, for your help and your tips.